always hoping that like good work will sell itself and so on, which is a beautiful dream, but it's just not something that you're in control of. I want to make sure that everyone feels like, okay, I'm not secretly staying up at night thinking, where's my next referral coming from?
Because I had no control, what happened is that I went back to square zero after that initial growth stopped. If you just wait for the work to find you, when that work doesn't come, you're left with no control.
One of the questions I ask in almost all of my strategy sessions is, why did you publish this? And people typically understand it as a critique of their content, but it's never that, because their content is good. What I'm trying to understand from them is what's the business goal behind everything that they post online.
The cool thing about storytelling is that humans have been doing this since we exist. When that happens in your brain, then you're able to connect with somebody, you trust somebody, you are willing to go with them. That's the power of it. Hi everyone, and welcome to There's a Workshop for That for this 90 episode. And today this will be a special one. This will be a lady power one, because I have the great pleasure to welcome 4 guests. I think this is a premiere. We are welcoming Joana Köhl, Silvia Coco, Adriana Tica, and Penny Blackmore. Girl powers today. And these are lady experts in storytelling, branding, content strategy, and sales. And these are the experts lineup for the next Facilipreneur Mastermind cohort starting on the 1st of July. What is the Facilipreneur Mastermind for those who don't know it? This is an 8-week program for facilitators who want to turn their craft into a business they love and a business that enables them to live the life they want. So they need to put it together, make it profitable, and enjoy the journey. So today we will dive into what it really takes to build a freelance facilitation practice. And we will start with a great report, the State of Solopreneur report published by Adriana, one of our guests, where we will get a lot of insights that might resonate with you if you are a freelancer. But first, I just want to welcome those ladies. Hi, girls.
Hello.
Hi.
And I would love to hear who you are, maybe starting with Penny Blackmore.
Hi, it's so nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'll just do a very quick intro. I'm a sales and business strategist. I'm based in Berlin. I have a background in business development at agencies, and these days I help agencies and freelancers to not only get sales right, but also do it in a way that's not like bro coded. So it's like, instead of doing these hard closing techniques, instead of having these like really aggressive lead generation systems, no cold emails, any of that, it's very like gentle, it's human, and it's designed to adapt to who you are as a person. I think, is that enough?
Well, and you were already on the podcast, I think it was 2 years ago, and we were talking already about sales.
Yeah, people really resist it, even if they've been freelancing for a long time. They're always hoping that like good work will sell itself and so on, which is a beautiful dream, but it's just not something that you're in control of. I want to make sure that everyone feels like, okay, I'm not secretly staying up at night thinking, where's my next referral coming from? Like, I really want them to feel like I've got a system in place, I've got structure around the sales work that I'm doing, and I know what's working and what's not.
Another person who was already on the podcast, and I think it is not so far away, I think it was a few months ago, Silvia Coco. Hi, Silvia. Welcome again.
Hi, thank you for having me again. So a little introduction about me is brand and business strategist is the title that I go by, but as people who listen to that episode know, it's only the umbrella name for everything that I do. My background is in design and communication, marketing, branding in general. But really what I do today is that I help micropreneurs build a brand and business that supports them. Another piece of the same pie that Penny is working on really is taken from a different angle, I think, and maybe it represents what we're all here to do today, right? To encompass the full picture of what you need to have a to build a great business.
Joanna, you went freelance, I think 2-3 years ago. You have a big experience around storytelling and you live in Lisbon.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Quick intro about my background. I also come from the communications world and I started out in PR in New York and moved to Berlin over 10 years ago and worked in live and experience communication with the TEDx Berlin conference and did speaker coaching and consulting for C-suite clients. And then I moved into brand strategy consulting, where I really got an extra layer of a strategic lens that I learned to apply to everything. And 2 years ago, almost this summer, I decided to resign because I was working part-time and I had 2 small children. And there's a lot of transformation that happens with that. And it was time to take everything I knew that felt a bit squiggly at the time, but really wrap my own bow around it. And so that's what I've been doing. I am focused on storytelling and I help individuals, founders, but also people who are still in a corporate setting but are really experts to either build powerful presentations or reposition their own personal brand and how they want to be perceived. Or when it's about an actual brand, I help find the story layer underneath the product that is missing. That really is the item that connects to your audience. So that's the red thread, is storytelling. And I'm super excited to join you guys and share my expertise with you.
Thank you so much. Adriana, you're the last one to introduce yourself, but the first one we will start with, because you are the author or the creator of this state of solopreneurship.
Hi, I'm Adriana Tica. I'm the voice behind the Strategic IF newsletter, and I'm a marketing and strategy consultant for solopreneurs. I mainly work with solopreneurs to help identify revenue and profit gaps, and this can take a lot of shapes and forms. Some people come to me for content advice, others come to me for shaping their offers, for figuring out what their next move is going to be. I think I can sum this up by saying that I help people make a few money without selling their souls to social media dark lords or staying glued to their laptops for 20 hours a day.
This is a good thing. I know how it was at my beginnings as I was looking on LinkedIn and Instagram and all these people who were successful, and I was looking at them thinking, oh my God, will I get there? How many times it will take? And there is a response in your state of solopreneurship report, Adriana. I think I could read that 6-figure income shows up most often after year 3.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit more of this state of solopreneurship report that you put together and on this data?
Yeah, I'd love to, because I honestly built it out of rage, because like you, I also checked social media and saw that everyone's super successful and everyone has a multi 6-figure or even a 7-figure business, and they've built it in a couple of months. And theoretically, we all understand that this is survivorship bias. No one says, hey, my business completely flunked, so I'm going to go back to a regular job. No one posts about this. And if they do, their posts get buried because social media and traditional media like to push success stories. I think we also know that some 90+% businesses fail in their 3rd year. So if you're past your 3rd year, you're already more successful than most people, even if you don't know it. But even when I looked at actual data, I found that most reports in this industry are very biased. They are either created by large companies who have an agenda to peddle, or they conflate solopreneurs, people who have businesses, with content creators, influencers. So we all end up benchmarking our own business against Mr. Beast and similar people. So I surveyed, in fact, over 150 solopreneurs, actual solopreneurs, and I asked them how much they make, how they make their money, how long it took them to get to 6 figures and beyond, and all those juicy questions. The feedback I got most often after publishing this report was that I now feel better about myself, because I see myself in those numbers. I haven't reached 7 figures, even if I've been in business for 3 or more years. And it was really relieving for most people to see that, hey, you're normal. Business is hard. You're not supposed to be a multimillionaire overnight. And yeah, like you said, it takes most people 3 years or more to get
Yeah.
to a steady six-figure yearly income. And when that doesn't happen, when there are outliers, if you look at the context, you'll see that most people approach the solo business either with a background in business, with an existing network, with a financial cushion that allowed them to invest a lot and much faster than people normally do.
Yeah. Was it also for you like this, that you were looking at these people and feeling, oh my God, how do I do that? Silvia, how is it for you?
I have the untraditional answer, I think, because actually in my year 1 to 5-ish, I had maybe the fastest growth and results of my business, but I was completely hidden. It was only through word of mouth. It was only through referrals. I had no branding. I was just going opportunity to opportunity after the money. And so what is interesting to me with this report and is how, because I had no control, what happened is that I went back to square zero after that initial growth stopped. And a little bit what Penny, I think, started introducing before is, if you just wait on the referral, if you just wait for the work to find you, when that work doesn't come, you're left with no control. So so it's really interesting that once I needed to put myself out there, I was back to that square one, even though I was coming from a lot of success and even financial success in the very beginning.
I want to agree with that. Like, there's such an interesting dynamic between, I learned last year that you can actually kind of coast for a long time. I had my first six-figure year in my third year of business, as you said. And basically, it was all referrals. It was all going great. And then I realized I had to switch from being good at my job to also being good at business and building a business, because they're actually two different skill sets. Like, running a business, entirely different from just being good at your job. So building systems, building proper messaging, even though my messaging sucks and my branding sucks and all that stuff. But, this is where I was like, okay, like, what does my business actually, what do I want to do long term? And what do I want to offer long term, as opposed to just responding to the types of work that were coming in most of the time.
Joana, how was it for you at your beginnings?
Yeah, I see myself in what Adriana said. I would have probably commented, I finally feel better about myself. Because when I left my consultancy job, I didn't have a group of 25 clients lined up the door who were waiting for me to work with them. It was quite the opposite. But I just knew I need to turn around the way how I see work and build something of my own in order to grow. I just saw no more growth for me in that other structure. And I understood pretty quickly. So what Silvia was saying, if you wait for the work to come find you, it's like you're in a very passive situation. And I just made the decision fairly early on that I don't just want to knock on doors and ask the people I know in the Berlin agency world, hey, do you need a brand strategist? Because there's 5,000 brand strategists just probably on the block that I live in. And so I understood early on that I need to jump into the cold water and build a personal brand. And I also understood that this doesn't happen overnight. And there was a time when I was really bombarded. There are so many coaches. You get so many messages. You're doing this wrong. Oh, it's 2026. If you haven't made 30K this weekend, you're dumb. And it takes some time to be able to block this out and stay in your lane. And so you need to be realistic, and you need somebody to tell you, listen, this is a slow and steady building mechanism that you have to put in place. There will be 6 or 8 months where nobody's clapping, but then it's going to start compounding. And you just need to find the right people to guide you along. So I'm a believer in finding the right coach for you, finding somebody who's 2 steps ahead, who can help you, rather than falling prey to all these negative, because it is negative. There's a lot of negative fear-based messaging out there. And so I haven't hit 6 figures yet. It's been 2 years, and I'm working on it. But to the point that Penny said, this is something I'm learning now. I'm the busiest I've ever been, but I am now at the point where I'm learning that I need to put systems in place that I haven't had before. So it's cool to understand the journey, the kind of the check marks that happen in this journey and when you're ready to cross to the next one. But it just takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And we're not here to post viral videos and become influencers. We're here to build a sustainable income generating business. So I'm really glad to have real conversations like that, because it starts small and then it grows if you know the systems and do it right and get the right help.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, at my beginnings, I came from the corporate world. I was a project manager. I got also good clients because I had a network already of people in corporates. But then when I wanted to start talking about what I'm doing and I was so excited about, I recognized that people didn't know what is facilitation. And I was suddenly talking about what is the great things about facilitation. And they didn't understand, okay, where do I put this person? When I'm starting to work with freelance facilitators, what I recognize is even if they have took some great, very expensive programs or business coach, it's not really fitting with their reality. They are not consultants, they are facilitators, and they need to change a little bit on how they show up and work really well on their message and find out first, what am I doing? What kind of problems do I solve? With who do I want to work? So that they can turn all what we call positioning or finding your niche, what most of them hate. But they need to work on this first, because this is the foundation. If you cannot clearly say, this is what I'm doing, this is the kind of problem I'm solving, talking about the impact and the result of your work instead of talking about the process, it will be difficult afterwards to tell your story, to create content, to sell the right way, or to create your offer. So this is the very, very first thing, for example, on the Facilipreneur Mastermind we are working on. And I think this is also the foundation, Joana, to be able to then, from there, work on the story, because we tend to not use this storytelling. Can you tell me a little bit more about what is the power of leveraging the skills of storytelling?
Yeah. So the cool thing about storytelling is that humans have been doing this since we exist. It's how we trust other people, how we agree on something with people who we've never met before. It's literally the oldest skill. It's what makes us different from animals, because we're able to tell stories. And there's actually a process that happens in your brain that if you connect with somebody who tells you something, maybe somebody who's giving a presentation, or if you're watching a movie and you connect with them, something happens in your brain where you are synced to the same wavelength of the person talking. So it's actually, it has kind of a rep to be cute. It's a cute marketing buzzword, but it's not. It's something super powerful, because when that happens in your brain, then you're able to actually connect with somebody, you trust somebody, you are willing to go with them, and you have your mind changed. That's the power of it. The thing that is powerful about it is finding out, it has also to do with authenticity and being able and willing to uncover maybe your own story or parts of your story that you didn't even think were worth looking into, but they are actually something that is a huge differentiator from other people who are offering the same thing. So that's a big chunk of my work, is this excavation part, where you ask questions and then you ask another question. And often it's things that my clients would never have thought about because they're so in it. It's like an old chair in your corner and you don't look at it for 10 years and suddenly you realize, oh my God, there's something really powerful there. And that is something you can massage into also your positioning. I'm actually not sure if the positioning comes first and then you do stories with it. It's a little bit, it's a little bit of both, right? Yeah, like you need to kind of know, what is my secret sauce, what is my edge, and how can I communicate that through my positioning. And I also want to say, I think it's okay if your positioning also evolves, because
Absolutely.
It's not right. I've changed my LinkedIn headline 27 times in the last 10 months. and it also changes with the work you do and what people come to you for and what they see in you that maybe you're not realizing they see. So all of this takes part in your story, and storytelling is a way how you can make really important information actually understandable and memorable. Instead of just saying dry data and numbers and facts, if you wrap a story around it, something people can latch on to, then they will remember those stats. And the same works with your positioning. Maybe you have credentials and you went to the best universities and you have, I don't know, you were Forbes 30 under 30 or 40 under 40. And but if you don't have a narrative that you put out there that people can remember and repeat and tell their friends about, then it gets lost in the noise. So that's what I would say to that.
Can I add something to that? Because I have a real world example of, I went to support my friend at a talk once, and there was this guy that spoke before her, and he was like, did a business degree, I ran a startup, I sold the startup, da 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 da. And I was just like, I was falling asleep. I was like, boring, like literally, who cares? And then my friend came on, and obviously I'm biased, but I was watching the audience reaction, and she was like, my first job was in McDonald's. And immediately, because it had this relatability, like everyone in the audience sat up. And I was like, who would have thought like the lowest job in the ladder would actually be part of your story that's so important? And I just love that. So Joana, do some great work.
I love that. Yeah. And also how brave of her. And that is a strategic decision to open the talk with that, because you need to be able to admit, in a conference setting, do you really want to, it would be easy to think, I don't know if I want to share that I used to work at McDonald's, but how powerful is that to lead with that and to make yourself kind of vulnerable in that way. But then again, I'm sure everybody remembers her. Oh, the girl who used to work at McDonald's, and now she's
I'm going to take credit for it. I was like, open with that. Example. It's cool. So she went for it.
This is the thing. I recognized that your potential clients for the future, if you want to stand out, it's not about being the better than the others. It's just a way that people connect with what you are doing, what you are delivering, but also who you are. And some people will connect with you, others will absolutely not connect with you. But I recognize that the fact to tell a little bit more about myself, bring people to me where it fits much better. And I don't have to justify then who I am and all my credentials, because there is this connection first. And Silvia, you have everything set in your mirror boards and in everything what you're doing. You have also your branding assets. And how important it is to have those little things that make yourself recognizable on top on your story, your positioning. How important is it, and what can it bring?
Well, it's not just bringing decoration, right? It's bringing elements to make you recognizable. So it helps make that story stick. It helps differentiate that positioning. So again, it keeps building on these first two parts with probably a more visual aspect, although branding is wider than just the graphics in itself. But I think what you started touching on, which is really interesting, is that brand then has declinations in all of the experience you have with the customer. So especially when we're speaking personal branding, we're talking of businesses where it's probably a relational business. It's a trust-based business. It's yourself first, selling your skills and your potential and the type of support you can give your client. So this personality infused positioning can then be brought into everything from that first email to how you design your proposal, to how you design your workshop, to maybe at the end of the workshop, you give out a cute little notebook with a pre-written note. So like even gestures are part of the brand and the brand experience, really. And so I think that's what we want to dig into in the courses. Especially as facilitators, you are already thinking experience design. You already have the skills. It's just about how can you translate the skills to applying them to create a business experience. So not just in your service, but in your business as a whole, from the first touch point throwing marketing terms, you're like the top of the funnel, right? So from your LinkedIn appearance all the way to your bottom of the funnel, which is like when you're out there delivering the workshop and actually sending out the follow-up email, what is the experience that represents who you are and your personal brand?
It's really not about having this logo, like you said at the beginning. It's behind it. It's just giving also a sense of something constant in everything what you do. So your story, what you're presenting, and everything makes that it's rounded. It's people see you and recognize you.
And sometimes what I like to call the personal branding is your drag persona, right? It's like if you had to just fully step into the biggest, boldest version of who you are, can you create that image? And then, because in our personal lives, you turn the volume up when you're out there facilitating. You need to have the energy on. Yeah. You need to hold a room, even in sales, even in the pre-sales process, even in content, everywhere, right? We need to sort of energize ourselves to appear. Not necessarily in a certain way, but there is an element of performance, right? We're in front of an audience. And it just helps at least it helped me in my process. And I see that it's working with my clients, to imagine like if you could just be fully yourself, like to a point where maybe in your personal life it would be even a bit too much, but you tap into that to develop your branding. It helps, like slowly it becomes yourself. You start from it's a drag persona and then you're like, no, actually I like being that person. I can trust that person is going to bring me the results and the right people. Like you said, it's almost a filter. You start attracting the people that resonate with that.
And you start to embrace the person that you want people also to see. I mean, I'm not wearing pink every day, but my skin look good, my hair and everything. So it makes me feel better and then shine better when I'm in a workshop or when I'm online in sessions. So this is the little things that help me myself to show the best of myself. And I love to have it a little bit everywhere without overwhelming too much pink, like candy-like, but really love it. Adriana, another thing that is needed to build a business and to make yourself visible is all the content part where we can spend hours and hours of time. So this is the part that you would teach in the Facilipreneur Mastermind, but which is also your expertise, how to create the right content, I guess.
Yes. And it usually starts with the goal, because one of the questions I ask in almost all of my strategy sessions is, why did you publish this? And people typically understand it as a critique of their content. But it's never that, because their content is good in the sense that it's legible. You get the message, you understand what the author wanted to say. What I'm trying to understand from them is what's the business goal behind everything that they post online, whether on social media or outside of social media. And oftentimes people don't have a good answer for that, because they've been told they need to post every day, make that brand recognition compound, which is all true, but you also need to have a goal behind what you post. Are you posting to entertain? Are you posting to make a direct sale? Are you posting to generate or nurture leads? These are typically the things that you can do online. And sometimes you can simply post for entertainment. That's a very valid goal. You just need to acknowledge it as such, because teaching every day or building your authority gets tiring for your audience. And this is one of the things I plan to do in my workshop: teach people how to identify what they need to post, depending on the stage and the moment in their business. Because if you're in launch mode, you're going to post more sales-oriented content. If things are going well for you, you probably want to build your authority so that the next quarter looks equally well without you having to chase every possible lead. And I obviously have a system for that. I have an AI-backed custom GPT for that, and I'm super excited to dig into the process, because I know that everyone who's been through it has found creating and distributing content much easier than before. I don't know if you can relate to that, but even those of us who have spent decades in creative roles, we still suffer from the absence of our muses. We suffer from blank page paralysis.
Oh, yeah.
It's not always easy to just, I'm going to write something brilliant today and people are
Yeah.
going to clap. Yeah, no, it's not happening.
Yeah, and I think there are also the things that even when you launch something, you don't want to be like create only content like pushy, I'm launching by, you have to find a way to also tell a story, bring the people to something and warm up the audience because it's a big thing with content. For me, it was very fun sometimes at my very beginning because I was just putting things and LinkedIn was working differently and it was like going viral. Did it bring me a lot of business? Not sure. I got an audience. I got a new audience. But now it's also working differently. So when we talk about content, are we talking about LinkedIn? Are we talking about newsletter, which as I know is one of the things you really you're really using good and great, and I'm looking up to you, Adriana. So when we talk about content, about which kind of content are we talking about?
Everything. I don't think good content is platform dependent.
Okay.
Good content is part of your strategy, and then choosing which platform is ideal for distribution is secondary. I know a lot of people fell prey to the advice that you need to be on LinkedIn because it's going great now. And it did for a while, but people built their entire farm on rented land, and now they have trouble getting business from LinkedIn. So my goal with our session together and with what I teach my clients in general is to make them platform independent. You have the structure, you know what you want to talk about, you know what your content needs to show and how it needs to position you. Then you can take what you know and rebuild on another platform when your main platform starts to suck, or you can build your own platform, which can be, that I'm very passionate about email and newsletters, but it can also be a private community. It can be SMS marketing, something that very few people use these days, and it still works very well. But as long as you have the foundation right, you can build everywhere,
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I wouldn't say it's platform dependent, just like I would absolutely advise anyone who's a facilitator, a freelancer, a solopreneur, however they identify, do not make your business platform dependent.
Yeah. Penny, sales, a next black monster for a lot of the mentees I had on the last during the last cohort. It's like they are all fearing those conversation, and it's always like a highlight when you're coming and say you don't need to be pushy. So you're teaching them gentle sales.
Gentle sales was a random idea that I came up with last year. I'm not really sure about the name, but it seems to be landing. And essentially, I think what people think sales is all about is aggressively saying, like, I've helped this organization achieve this ROI in this amount of time. And, and I've worked at this company and I'm awesome. You should hire me. Like, I think they think it's a big thing and a big bombastic kind of thing. And I do meet people, wink, certain type of people who are very comfortable doing that. But I've been working in consulting with like freelancers and agencies for 7 years, and almost no one I know is comfortable doing that sort of sales, those sales methods. So I think there's a big difference between identifying the ick. Like a lot of people when they're doing sales, they're like, oh, I get the ick from doing this. It makes me cringe. It makes me embarrassed and so on. So I want everyone, just as a takeaway, I guess, to separate the ick from stuff you do and should pursue, because you're actually, the reason you're getting the ick is because you don't have the confidence to pursue it. So one thing that I'm thinking about at the moment is thought leadership. Like a lot of my clients come to me and they say, it's not like I need to be a thought leader. And it's like, why not? Like, you have thoughts. The only thought leadership we're getting from at the moment is top down, from people whose thoughts I don't really care about. Their thoughts suck. Their thoughts are old. Their thoughts are irrelevant. So at the moment, I think it's important to like embrace some things. Like, maybe I am allowed to have thoughts on the internet. Maybe I am allowed to proactively reach out to someone I'm interested in working with, but don't reach out to them with a sales pitch. Reach out to them for the point of building a relationship. So gentle sales is essentially relational sales over transactional sales. So you're not trying to get something from everyone, you're trying to give as well.
Thank you so much. I know from the last session you had during the last cohort that I got so much great testimonials from your session, because you gave a framework during this session where you guide the facilitators to facilitate the sales conversations. I know that it was really a big highlight for them to have this session with Penny, which was also my force, my drive, which leads me to say, oh, maybe we should have other experts on the Facilipreneur Mastermind, because I'm always giving from my point of view, and I'm not an expert in all these things. I'm always sharing my own path, and I know that I love to help the people to be really good at positioning, to be really good at creating their offer based on a few workshops, like a door opener workshop or a flagship workshop. And this is what I want to learn in the next Facilipreneur Mastermind, because this is the thing that I know I'm good at. And the rest, it was my own experience. So I wanted to have experts like we had Penny on sales, experts on storytelling, to really bring out your own story with all the things that you have been working on positioning with Joana. And then going to, now I have my positioning, I have my story, I can start to tell how can I make myself a little bit more visible with all the branding assets I could create everywhere. So this is what you will do with Silvia. Adriana will come with one of the key, how to communicate about yourself, how to set the right content strategy over all the media that you are using, whatever it is, a podcast, it is a newsletter, it is LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever it is, but to have a system to build this content. So this is what Adriana will propose you. And Penny, of course, sales, so that you are enjoying the process of sales. Please, thank you so much. It was so nice to have you all on this podcast episode. I will bring in the show notes, if I may, Adriana, the link to get the state of the report, State of Ownership. I think it might be very interesting for those of you who are thinking maybe of building a business or are solopreneurs since a while. And you will find also in the show notes the link to the next Facilipreneur Mastermind starting on the 1st of July in 8 weeks. So start on the 1st of July and on 19th of August with live session with me and those beautiful ladies, but also with co-working sessions, which will be hosted by Joyce, who was a past participant of the last mastermind. So there's a whole program. Find the link in the show notes. If you're interested, reach out to me. Don't hesitate to ask questions. And I have a last question for you girls. If you could give one piece of advice to someone sitting on the fence about investing in themselves, investing in such a program and their business right now, what would you tell them?
I think investing in yourself when you're building something of your own is the best way to grow. I see even the ones who guided me have invested in themselves a few years ago. I think you need guidance from someone. You should just make sure it's a good fit. And because sometimes it isn't, but if it is, then it's a difference of night and day and transforms your own journey. So I've invested in myself since I started. I wouldn't be here if I hadn't. I 100% encourage it.
Yeah, I want to echo that feeling. And that what I want to add to it is the fact that you may think that there's plenty of information online for free on YouTube, on blogs, and so on. And that's true. You can get a lot of advice out there. But a lot of it is trash. And also you will spend years figuring out who to listen to and who to ignore, and what works for this stage of your business, not another stage. If you're on the fence about investing in this program, think about the fact that Nathy already did this hard work. She curated the resources that you need so that you can get the information you need right now and nothing else. No extra junk, no stuff that's not relevant to you right now. As someone who has built their first business on free information that I found online, I can tell you that investing in a curated program will save you hundreds of hours of reading bad or irrelevant content.
I was going to add that something that I hear often is, I'm not ready. What if I'm not ready? What if I'm not clear before I jump into getting support? And it's always something that is so paradoxical, right? It is the container, it is the program, it is the space like this that will help you find that clarity. It's normal that you are feeling, that you have doubts or that you're unclear, that you're unsure. What you need to ask yourself is, will this program help me, make better decisions or understand better how I need to show up? Will it make me consistent so I can take my business, more seriously? Then if it's a yes, and then you're ready to jump into something that will help you commit and build what you want to build, as opposed to, like Adriana was saying, just be lost in the sea of free content, which is really difficult to detach the noise from the value and create that experience yourself, because it just takes the experience that you're lacking at this time.
I have the complete opposite viewpoint on this. So you're going to hate me because I do agree with everything you're saying, but I also strongly believe that you probably need to go through 2 whole years maybe of not getting any paid advice because you don't have the experience to contextualize it, in my opinion. I think what works best is, first of all, you have to have leverage before you go freelance. You've got to have a network. You've got to have, like, people ask me, I'm in a company, what do I need to go freelance? And I'm like, you need 5 people you could call right now and interview them about the type of services that you might want to provide, not sell them anything, interview them, get their perspective, find out what the real pain points are, and build relationships with them. So if you don't have 5 people you can call right now, forget it. Go build that while you're still safe in a company. You need the experience and you need to learn to make your own decisions. I see so much community addiction, training addiction, course addiction. People are just bouncing from one thing to another. They're never learning to be like the CEO of their own organization. And then they come to me and they're like, I'm confused.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, no, obviously, honey, like, you have literally been letting other people tell you what to do for the past 4 years and using strategies that are going to work for them. They might not work for you, blah, blah, blah. So information overload is a thing. Do the hard thing, go through 2 years, follow the work. If you've made it that far, then you can be like, and I wish I'd done this earlier. Well, actually, no, I did do it earlier. It just didn't work out fully. But then you can be like, you know what? I am loving this work. And I'm not getting paid for it, but I do think there's a market for it. Cool, let's go there. Or I'm getting paid heaps for this work. Loads of people want it, but I absolutely hate it. And start to make those decisions on your own. That's my hot take.
You are absolutely right. And if I can say something, is that in this program, we have experts, we are giving things. I think one of the most valuable things, the fact that I'm really using the collective intelligence of people on the same path. So there are a lot of breakouts in my session. There are a lot of community where you can share, help each other. You can listen to each other. This week I have done this. I had a win. I put it in my winner jar that they have to create at the beginning of the program. Yeah. So, if you want to grow with people on the same path, even if you're doing it on your own pace, I think this is also a thing that makes the Facilipreneur Mastermind maybe something for you. And you will find in the show notes also the link to each of these ladies. Connect with her on LinkedIn, subscribe to their newsletter. It was for me an absolutely pleasure to have 5 ladies in this podcast. Thank you, girls.
Thank you
for having us.
Thank you.
And I tell you goodbye. We will see us during the summer, 1st of July until 19th of August. And until next time, I wish you good health, happiness, and a lot of success. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.